What's good, football fans? Back at you once again with another video. Here we are with week 3's picks, and last week I only missed one as far as the picks I made on here anyway, but I only missed one, and that was the Minnesota Vikings game. I, for some reason, thought that Minnesota was going to beat Indianapolis, and as we all know by now, that did not happen. Another one that I missed, I'm going to be honest here, because when I made the video, I actually left it blank between Washington and Arizona. I ended up taking Washington because I felt like their defensive line will be able to get enough pressure to be able to do something with Arizona missing a lineman, and I was definitely 100% wrong on that. So on the picks I made on here, I only missed one, but in all actuality, I missed two for the week. Hopping right into this week's picks. First game, we got Thursday night's matchup between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Miami Dolphins. And I'll be honest with you real quick, I didn't think the Dolphins were going to be a whole lot this year, and I didn't think the Jaguars were going to be either. So, to be completely honest, the Jaguars have surprised me some. And I do believe that they have a good enough team to be able to beat the Dolphins, especially with the way the Dolphins played last week. I'm picking Jacksonville in this one. Now, the next game up is between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Houston Texans. And Houston has caught the raw end of the stick this year as far as scheduling is concerned. And nobody did them any favors either having to play Pittsburgh in week 3. This Texans team just doesn't have the weapons to be able to keep up with a defense like Pittsburgh. Maybe if they still had D-Hop, not now. I'm picking Pittsburgh in this one. The next game is between the Philadelphia Eagles and Cincinnati Bengals. And who really would have thought at the beginning of the year that this game would have two teams that were 0-2? Now, a lot of us might have thought the Bengals would have been 0-2, but none of us would have believed Philadelphia would be sitting here at 0-2, and just severe problems going on across the board. I heard earlier that Jalen Reagor has issues now with, I believe it's his thumb. Truth is, this Eagles team has a good enough defense that I believe that will power them through to getting a victory against this rookie quarterback. But don't underestimate Joe Burrow. I believe he threw the ball, 61 times last week, and he's trying to have that breakthrough and get that first win. This kid's not used to losing, and he's definitely trying to, get his first win this week. But I don't think it's going to happen. I'm taking Philadelphia. The next game is two teams that actually were hit by the injury bug a little bit last week, and the New York Giants and the San Francisco 49ers. And the Giants lost their best player by a mile with Saquon Barkley going down, and he's going to be out for the rest of the year, which is horrible to see. I never like to hear of anybody getting injured, especially not one of the game's top talents and a guy that's that athletically gifted, and he's actually a good person too. But it puts New York in a position where I don't really know what their offense is going to consist of now, but they already weren't really running the ball to begin with. Obviously, not having a talent like Barkley is going to show up in the stat sheet. And the Niners had some serious injuries last week too, including Bosa, their number one player in my opinion on that defense. The difference here is I believe San Francisco could probably put together a patchwork team that's going to be better than what the Giants can put on the field, and there's absolutely no reason why San Francisco should lose to the New York Giants this weekend. The big surprise with the Giants this year has been the play of their defense so far, but I'm taking San Francisco. The next game is between the New England Patriots and the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders were able to get in and get their first win in their home stadium last week and start the season out 2-0 with a team that not a lot of people expected a whole lot out of. While the Patriots had so many players that they lost out on because of COVID, especially on their defense, and they put together a pretty decent couple weeks themselves behind the play of Cam Newton on offense. This is going to be a pretty good game here in my opinion. And if I had to pick this one, I would say it would be pretty close, but I'm going to go with the Patriots here. The next game up is between the Minnesota Vikings and the Tennessee Titans, and this is two teams that are on separate ends of the spectrum as of right now. The Vikings were a team that I thought would be in the thick of things and would have one of the top defenses in the league. I've never really been all that impressed with Kirk Cousins, but I felt like their team was enough to be able to compete in the league. And here they are at 0-2. I really didn't see that coming. I've picked them both weeks this season and have lost both weeks. Now, the Titans, on the other hand, are a team that I feel like they're kind of underrated and underappreciated, but at the same time, if you pop on the power rankings, they're up there near the top. They just look like a blue-collar team that nobody really expects to do a whole lot, including me. But here they are at 2-0. Two teams on opposite ends of the spectrum, And I'm going to be honest, I think it continues on this week here, and I'm taking the Titans. The next game's between the Cleveland Browns and Washington. Now, the Browns have been a little bipolar this year, and, Washington, who really knows what to expect with them at this point? Their offense is still stuck down at the bottom of the list on neutral. Their defense, once they get consistency across the board on that team and get some sort of, offense up and running, I believe their defense is strong enough to keep them in just about every game, although they're still real young and gaining experience. That team needs to learn how to do something on offense bad. I see flashes, but I think those players over there would be happy if they started winning, a game here and there more than, getting beat last week and giving up 30 points on defense, which I don't think that they really saw coming. I view that team as having a top 10 defense, and they didn't, really play like one last week. Of course, I still think that you can put a little bit out on the offense. And the Browns, who, in my opinion, might be the best rushing football team that there is out here that doesn't have Lamar Jackson on their roster. I think the Browns are going to be a team that's going to shock some teams this year because nobody really sees them coming. They've got talent. The problem is they haven't been able to put it all together and, make a good run with it. I'm picking Cleveland here. The next game between the Buffalo Bills and the Los Angeles Rams could very well be the best game of the week. I really don't know what to expect as far as the outcome goes on this. I believe Buffalo has the better team, but the Rams have been playing really good. And their first two games, they've showed that they're out to change things from last year. I had someone point out to me a couple weeks back, well, hell, they did finish 9-7 last year, so it didn't like they really were all that bad. And while that's true, they still didn't make the playoffs. Now, the way that the playoffs is set up this year with the 7th team, they probably would have made the playoffs. I feel like the way that Buffalo is playing and the defense that they've been playing, I honestly believe that the Bills will win this game. Now, the next game is between the Atlanta Falcons and the Chicago Bears. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I am still shocked at how Atlanta lost last week. Now, I know Dallas fans are just tickled, to death on that about how their team came back and, won that game. But if you're an Atlanta fan, you really got to be sick to death over that one. Or if you're a Dallas hater, you really got to be sick to death over that one with the way that they were commanding that game and then just lost it. That kind of explains the Falcons, though, this season. They're kind of bipolar. They have a really good offense, but their defense, not so much. Now, the Bears, I don't even know what to say about the Bears. The Bears were a team that I was questioning, how good they would be this year and would they be able to keep up in the North. And here they are, 2-0. The real question here to ask is can Chicago stop Atlanta's offense? That really is the question that you need to ask yourself. I think they're going to have some problems. Atlanta's got way too many weapons. I'm picking the Falcons to get their first win this week. Now, the next game is between the Los Angeles Chargers and the Carolina Panthers. And there's actually an interesting storyline developing with the Chargers behind Tyrod Taylor not starting last week. So apparently they were trying to inject him for a cracked rib, something to try to ease the pain, and they punctured his lung. That's what I heard in a news story today, which was kind of crazy if you think about it. But in the process, Justin Herbert has been obviously named the quarterback for now for the Chargers. I almost called him San Diego there. But the thing that makes you, really, kind of grab your mind real quick is, hey, can Tyrod Taylor sue them for that? Because that sounds like some serious malpractice. I don't know. I guess we'll have to stay tuned for that. I'm not a lawyer nor a doctor, so I have no clue what the answer is to that. But one thing I can tell you is this Charger team is better than advertised. And looking at the opposite side, I really don't know what to expect out of Carolina from week to week yet. Their new coach and everything. I'm so used to Rivera being over there that, it's going to take me a little while to get used to what the Panthers are doing these days. And I know that they don't have Christian McCaffrey this week. I have a feeling that that's going to, that's going to take an offense that was already having problems, putting points on the board and winning games and make it worse. I'm taking the Chargers. The next game up is between the Indianapolis Colts and the New York Jets. And I've been trying to tell everybody about the Colts that will sit down and listen that they've got one of the deepest rosters in the NFL and overall one of the better defenses that the league, even has to offer. Add in the fact that they're well coached, and this is going to be a football team that's going to be in the thick of things all the way through this season. Now, looking at the other side of the pendulum, And I have to tell you that the New York Jets are that team that I honestly feel bad for their fans. And I always say to myself, well, can the Jets get it going this year? Can they get back to where they need to be? Because I felt like they made the right decision a few years back taking Sam Darnold. And I actually like what he brings to the to the field. But it's just the rest of the team, that organization just cannot get it together. Hopefully that changes soon. But I'm taking the Colts in this game. Now, the next game up is between the Seattle Seahawks and the Dallas Cowboys. And this will likely be another one of the games of the week. Seattle is really looking like, they could make a run this season. And Dallas has all the parts. I know that there's a lot of Dallas haters out there, but Dallas has all the parts to make a run. The only thing I might question is, maybe their coaching might take a little bit to catch on because it's a first-year coach, even though they have a carryover offensive coordinator. The Cowboys are starting to ring a lot of injuries up, though, and in my opinion, that team is only going to be as good as the defense can make them. Also, they need to be running the ball more. Zeke Elliott is the lifeblood of that team, and if they forget that and go elsewhere with the production, they're probably going to lose more games as the season goes on. That said, this is going to be a game that's going to come down to the final moments, I think. I'm going to take the Seahawks in this one, but this one could go either way. Now, the next game is the Denver Broncos against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Broncos, after having such a really good run over a long period of time, have actually hit a skid over the last couple of years where I guess you could call it rebuilding, or maybe you just call it a rough patch, whatever you want to call it. But that rough patch continued on last week when they started having issues with Drew Lock's health. And now here we are with the Broncos being 0-2. On the other side of the thing, the Tampa Bay Bucks are a team that is, they're really trying to still put it together over there with all the pieces that they've got that are new this year. And I believe that offense is going to take just a little bit to get it going. But when they do finally get to clicking over there, that they're going to be a tough team to beat coming out of the NFC South. That said, I'm taking the Bucks in this game. And the next game is between the Arizona Cardinals and the Detroit Lions. And I'm going to tell you, folks, I watched the Arizona game last week, and I watched the Arizona game week 1. And Cliff Kingsbury has that offense clicking. Kyler Murray, he's a beast. I mean, I know he's just a little guy, but he is a beast. He's got some of the fastest feet that I've ever seen on an NFL quarterback. This team is clicking right now on offense and defense and special teams. They're deep at almost all the skill positions, and they got a good pass rush. Now, when you look over at the Lions, they got Matt Stafford, and they've had some issues with some injuries this year. I think Galladay has missed some time, and their defense really hasn't been what they were expecting it to be in year 3 under Matt Patricia. I think they thought that he brings some magic over, some Belichick magic over and change everything. But I think all of us know that Belichick magic doesn't always, translate. Although I think Patricia's a good coordinator and a good coach, actually. I think he could get it done over there. And I really viewed this year going into, this season that Stafford would really start to try to set himself above the pack or out ahead of the pack or somewhere at the top of the list of top quarterbacks in this league. I don't really know if the talent around him is going to allow him to exert that kind of power over the league at this point. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure if anybody could stop the offense that Arizona has put together. The combination of Kyler Murray's abilities and DeAndre Hopkins on the outside may be too much for a lot of teams to be able to handle. I think they're going to make a good run in the NFC West this year. The West is stacked. It's loaded. I'm taking the Cardinals in this game. Now, the next game is between the New Orleans Saints and the Green Bay Packers. And I'm going to be honest, I think this game is going to hinge on if Michael Thomas plays or not. He did not play last week, and it's doubtful if he'll play this week or not. We really don't know yet. I know they said he's not going to practice earlier in the week and that he's going to be reassessed towards the end of the week. So we'll see how that works out. I don't think the Saints will win this game if Thomas doesn't play. The Packers have been on top of their game this year. Their offense is hitting on all cylinders. I can't think of anything that they've done wrong this year or done badly this year. And their defense continues to do what it needs to do. And I think we all know that they can get it done as far as pass rushing goes. And, they've been able – Aaron Jones has been a complete beast out of the backfield. This Sunday Night Football game could be a good one, especially if Thomas comes out and plays in this game. If Thomas doesn't play, I still expect a good game, but I'm going to pick the Packers in this one. And last but not least, the Baltimore Ravens versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And in my opinion, probably the two best teams playing in football right now. It's just a coincidence that they both reside in the AFC. But the Ravens have become the epitome of what you want your team to be if you want a good, rushing, pound them out, attacking football team. They've also been playing lights out defense. On the other side of the spectrum, the Kansas City Chiefs, I believe, are the best team in football, even though they may not be putting up the best numbers that they could have, or maybe they're not, throwing up Madden, godly type numbers, and their defense hasn't been exactly where they want it to be. But make no mistake, this is the best team in football, and they have the best football player right now in the game. The only guy that you can actually argue, maybe you could have an argument with two guys otherwise, would be Russell Wilson and Lamar Jackson. But Lamar Jackson would be the guy that you could really have an argument with. So Patrick Mahomes is 1 and Lamar Jackson's 2, or Lamar Jackson's 1 and Patrick Mahomes is 2. That's really the argument that's floating around right now. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think that this is Baltimore's game to lose here. And a battle of two great coaches too. I think that the Ravens are going to be able to pretty much impose their will on the Chiefs when it comes to running the ball in this game. And I'm picking Baltimore. So for the week, I had the Jaguars over the Dolphins, the Falcons over the Bears, the Bills over the Rams, the Eagles over the Bengals, the Browns over Washington, the Titans over Vikings, the Patriots over the Raiders, the 49ers over the Giants, the Steelers over the Texans, the Colts over the Jets, the Chargers over the Panthers, the Seahawks over the Cowboys, the Bucks over the Broncos, the Cardinals over the Lions, the Packers over the Saints, and the Ravens over the Chiefs. Let me know what your opinion is down below, and maybe let me know what your picks were this week, maybe last week, Let me know how many you missed, how many you didn't miss. And who are your 3 lock picks for the week? 3. Who are your lock picks for this week? 3 of them. I want to hear them in the comments. Y'all take it easy. Peace.